your knee, I presume it's okay. Just was fairly basic knock last night.
Yeah, I'm all right. You want to hit that?
And second of all, when you look at what happened today with Major League Baseball, I don't know if you've followed it, but like the Marlins had 14 guys test positive, and how much does it kind of allow you to appreciate what's going on right now in the bubble, presuming you're feeling pretty safe? And have you given much thought to what might happen after the bubble in the bigger picture for the NBA and all sports?
No, I just try to stay focused on what we got going here. Obviously, I'm really grateful for where we are, and we got a good situation here with the NBA. I think they went through a lot of protocol and a lot of speculation, a lot of hard conversations to have, and I think we're in a good situation here. Hopefully, it stays that way. We've been blessed so far. And I worry about the health of everybody, and it's unfortunate, that the MLB is going through that. But I'm just trying to stay focused on what we got going on here right now.
I mean, human nature being what it is, do you think a bubble is the only way to kind of get something like this to keep it safe? I mean, people it's hard for them to be consistent. Maybe out in society in a way, they get various guys with various levels of discipline or whatever it might be. So, I mean, is the bubble an obvious solution, or is it the best way that something like this could happen?
Yeah, it seems that way right now. I think people are gonna use what the NBA is doing here as a guideline. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, Mike. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know enough about this stuff to tell people what they should and shouldn't be doing. I'm here. What we're doing here seems like it's working, and I try to mind my business and stay out of the way.
Thanks a lot, Fred. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Next is Mike Ganter, Toronto Sun.
Hey, Fred. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. The whole issue is seeding. I mean, you go in as a number 2 seed, but there is no home court here, right? So does it matter in the end what you go in at? Like, I mean, I know you want to win every game, but does seeding really matter anymore?
I think it matters a little less, obviously, than it did before. Home court was designed with the intention that you be playing on your home court. So none of us here are on our home courts. And obviously, we're not trying to lose any games, but I think it definitely changes the dynamic from that standpoint. But until we get some guidance from, nurse or management, I mean, we're going out there to hoop every game and to win every game. So we'll see what their game plan is. We haven't really much talked about it. And for the most part, we just keep things simple and trying to win every game we can. And it's worked for us so far.
How did you how are you finding the games with no fans and that environment? How are you finding that?
It's different. It's different, but it's basketball. At the end of the day, it's what we do. It's definitely a different dynamic without the crowd, not being in a real arena. It's just so many intangibles and so many variables that are not present. So it's a different game for sure. But it's still basketball at the end of the day. So we'll see. I didn't have much rhythm in the Rockets game. Didn't play much in the Portland game. So right now I'm hating it. But until I get my rhythm going, I'll probably be more into it.
Got it. Thanks, Fred. Stay well.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Blake.
What's up, Fred? How you doing, man?
What's up, Blake?
We've talked before about, the cameras along the baseline and what that's, you've rolled an ankle on it before, whatever. Did you notice a difference in that first game with the extra space there and your comfort level attacking?
Yeah, don't it look so beautiful out there just on TV without all those guys and their feet sticking out down there behind the basket? I mean, it looks really good. The players got a lot of room on the bench. It's just, it's so much better without having to cram so many people in a tiny space. But I hope all of those guys get their jobs back once this is all over. I don't want anybody to lose their job, but it's definitely a more beautiful landscape to look at when you're looking at the court without those big feet sticking out there underneath the hoop.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks, Blake. We'll go to Doug.
Hello, Fred. Thanks for stopping by again. Appreciate it. That was a lovely little Twitter video of your daughter watching you on TV. That was hilarious. Really funny.
Yeah, it's funny for you. It made me cry.
Did it really? I was gonna ask what the reaction was.
Yeah, that was tough, man. It's funny because she's a character, but yeah, definitely his home a little different. Not being able to see them.
Yeah, very early in this process, you told us you wanted to get to Orlando to see what it's like, to see if you could bring your family there. Do you feel comfortable enough now bringing them, and would it in fact be maybe better to have them there with you?
We'll see. I wish they could have came with us right away, but they'll have to go through their own process of getting here, and it's a bunch of stuff they got to do to clear quarantine. So it's a lot of obstacles for sure. And if I didn't have two small children, I would say definitely yes. But I'm still trying to decide if I want to put my kids through that. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody, locking my two kids in a room for 4 to 7 days with anybody. I don't care how much money you got or whatever the case may be. That's not an experience I would wish on anybody. My kids are rough, so that might be a long 4 days.
Thanks. I can understand that a lot. But just one quick basketball one. Is your game anywhere where you want it to be, given that you didn't play much last night and didn't really look great against Houston and blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good in practice. I feel good when I'm working out. I feel good when we in the scrimmages. Again, it's going to take time. I spoke about this a little bit earlier. We haven't had our full team pretty much all year. And now, in this position, playing a whole entire new game of basketball with the new team, trying to figure everything out. So I'll be ready when I'm needed. And I think we still have to mesh our roles again and find our chemistry again and find out who's going to be shooting where and where guys are going to be. But, I usually just take what the game is giving me. And, in the little minutes I've played so far, it hasn't given me much. So I'm just going to stay patient and stay ready.
Thanks very much, Fred. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Doug. I think Tim Reynolds has a question for you there, Fred. Tim, are you there?
Yes, I'm right here. Thank you. Yeah, there's not a lot of guys here that know, in the bubble, that know exactly what it takes mentally and physically to win this thing, to win a championship. Obviously, you got a lot of guys who do.
Yeah.
What sort of advantage has that given you guys all season and now that you guys know exactly? I guess we don't know exactly anymore because it's a bubble, but close enough. You guys know more than most about what it takes to get there. What kind of an edge does that give you guys?
I think it just gives you the edge in terms of like your preparation and your mental approach to the game, and like knowing what's to come, knowing when you have to be exactly locked in, knowing when you can ease up, knowing when you need to rest, knowing when you need to go harder, knowing that, there's going to be big wins, there are going to be big losses, and just, staying in tune with the game and staying locked into the bigger picture at hand. I think having won it, I think that helps. Like you know that there's the big picture is there. The pot of gold is at the end of the rainbow, and like you can kind of see ahead of what's to come. And until you do that, you don't really know what you're exactly chasing. You know what I mean? I think that's part of winning a championship and having that pedigree is like you know the answers to the test. It's just a matter of getting there.
And I know this is ancient history now, but start of the year, there were some people who were like, they ain't going to be that good.
Yeah.
Nick said it really wasn't a rallying cry for you guys. Did you take it personally though when people were just counting you out before game one, or when some people were anyway before game one?
No, not really. It wasn't one of those things this year. I think it was almost laughable. Like for us, we laughed. It wasn't such a disrespect this time around because we just won. I mean, obviously we lost Kawhi and Danny. It was a huge part of our team, but it was like laughable. Like, all right, we just got to go through the season and people will catch up eventually. We've been through it. I've been through it in my short 3 years before we won. Like, we never got the respect until the last couple months of, last season. So we're not used to getting patted on the back and flowers. So it's not really that different for us.
Thanks, Tim. Next, we'll go to Josh.
Hey, Fred. I wanted to ask you about OG. Nick was talking about him after the game yesterday, his development in terms of putting the ball on the floor and getting to the rim. How have you seen him grow in that regard over the last few years, and maybe behind the scenes, off the court in practice? What have you seen him sort of focus on and been working on in that area?
The biggest thing with OG, I think he's just maturing as a man first and foremost. You know, he came in pretty young, pretty green, not knowing what to expect or what he wanted to be. I think he's just kind of finding his groove and finding his spots, and I see him putting in a lot more work than I did early on, and smart work, and taking the shots that he takes in the game. So I see him working. He works every day. He's continuing to get better. Obviously, we all know how special he is, and how special he can be. So, our job as point guards is just try to help him as much as we can. But I see him just being more patient, and I think that comes with maturing and just being more cerebral and understanding the game a little bit better. And you could see him when he does have good games. There's a groove, and you could kind of notice like he's feeling good, and we just got to try to get him to be that all the time.
Thanks, Fred. Appreciate it.
We will wrap up back with Michael Grange from Sportsnet.
Hey, Fred. I've been asking some of the guys, when you look back growing up, or maybe some of those summer runs at Wichita State, whatever, a lot of basketball players have experience of playing some of the most heated, intense, nasty games of their life with no one in the gym. And I'm just wondering if you share that experience, if you had some runs back at Rockford or wherever where, you didn't need a fan to get your motor running.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, your team is enough. The other team is enough. That's enough, motivation in itself. Guys get to talking, trash talking. And then once, the season starts, there's a lot on the line for everybody. So, obviously, we will miss the fans and the energy. You can't duplicate 30,000 people. Like, there's no answer for that in terms of what that natural energy brings to the arena. But it'll be a different kind of energy, and it's a different kind of game, like I spoke about earlier. But I don't think it'll be any less heated or any less intense than it normally would be. And in fact, it may be even more because it's so intimate and so close, and there won't be much else going on. So it'll be different. I think different is the word I've been sticking to. I can't say better, worse, or any other words other than it'll just be different, and we'll have to see how it goes.
What was the best run back in Rockford when you were growing up? Where was the place to play, and where did things get out of hand sometimes? If they did.
All over the place. We usually, the YMCA was a big spot growing up, probably when I was just starting to mature and get a little older, so I had to kind of take the throne from all of the older guys who have been playing overseas and whatnot. That was probably the best time for me to be playing, was when my age group was, 15, 16, playing against the older men in the city. That was some good runs back then.